In the mix of politics and faith, people are really curious about what Donald Trump believes in. His journey with religion is like a crazy ride, going from saying he believes in Jesus to having unclear moments. Some talk quietly about him being like the bad guy in the Bible, the Antichrist. Let's dig into Trump's public statements to figure out how he talks about being a Christian, while people also wonder about him being the Antichrist. In this interesting look, we'll uncover the complicated connection between politics, religion, and the mysterious person, Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump talked to Christians about how important Jesus is, especially at Christmas. He said Jesus played a big role in making America what it is today. Trump was really into the idea that the values from Jesus' teachings are the foundation of what America believes in. For Trump, Jesus isn't just someone from the past. He's like a present source of strength and hope for the United States. Trump thinks the lessons from Jesus still help guide and inspire the country, especially when dealing with today's problems. By focusing on Jesus, Trump wanted to bring Christians together under a shared understanding of the values that, according to him, shaped and strengthened the nation over time. He aimed to highlight how Christianity plays a big part in keeping the American spirit strong and positive, especially during the happy time of Christmas. While talking about serious issues like pulling troops out of Afghanistan, immigration rules, and rising prices, Trump showed how his political views are connected to the values he thinks come from Christianity. When talking about pulling troops out of Afghanistan, Trump probably focused on Christian ideas like fairness, kindness, and keeping people safe. He was likely worried about how it might affect peace worldwide and people's rights. On immigration rules, Trump might be thinking about biblical teachings that say we should be kind to strangers, but also about keeping our borders safe. This shows a tricky balance between being charitable, like Christianity says, and making sure the country is secure. When it comes to rising prices, Trump might be connecting it to managing money wisely, a value from the Bible about taking care of your community. In this part, we're digging into Trump's views on these issues to understand how he combines his political plans with Christian values. It helps us see how he looks at these challenges from a moral and ethical perspective, and how he thinks they connect to America being a Christian nation. Trump's comments about Jewish people have caused a stir, raising questions about how well he understands and accepts different religions. Looking into what he said and why is important to get a full picture and understand how different people reacted. Some think his remarks might spread stereotypes or be insensitive. Examining the context or the situation around these statements will help us figure out if Trump didn't know better, didn't care, or if he was just talking for politics. By analyzing what he said, we can see if Trump's words might accidentally cause religious divides or if there's more to his perspective. Saying things like this can have a big impact, shaping how people see things and even affecting what policies are made. By looking at how different groups, like religious leaders and advocacy organizations, reacted to these comments, we can understand better how Trump's words influenced discussions about accepting all religions and including everyone. This section wants to get a more detailed view of how Trump's words about religion could affect what people think. People have always been curious and unsure about what Donald Trump really believes when it comes to religion. This part will look into times when his beliefs might not match up with what most Christians usually believe. We'll check out moments where Trump's faith seems different, and we'll see how this uncertainty might change what people think about him. Sometimes, Trump's way of talking about his faith has surprised people because it doesn't always follow what most Christians believe. Whether it's not knowing much about the Bible or doing religious things in a different way, Trump's approach to faith is seen as unique and not like what people expect from a regular Christian. In this part, we'll look at specific examples, like how he does religious rituals or what he says about spiritual stuff, to show times when Trump's beliefs don't match what most Christians usually do. This unclearness about what Trump believes in can really change how people see him, affecting how voters and the public view his values and what he thinks is right or wrong. In this part, we'll look at how this uncertainty might have important effects on what people think and how much they trust him, especially among different groups of people. To really get Trump's political character and how faith and what people believe about him fit together, it's important to understand the details of this unclearness about his religion. Some people talk about Donald Trump being the Antichrist, and this idea comes from interpreting parts of the Bible, especially books like Daniel and Revelation. This section will give an overview of these prophecies, pointing out the traits connected to the Antichrist, which some people say match things about Trump. Supporters of this idea often mention parts that talk about a leader who's charming and has a big influence on people, and they connect these qualities to Trump's strong way of leading. Sometimes they use symbols from the Bible to show similarities between things that happened during Trump's time as president. But in this part, we'll also look at the other side of things, saying that this idea isn't true. We'll do this by carefully checking how people understand these Bible prophecies. We'll talk about when these writings were made, the special language used in apocalyptic stories, and how interpreting prophecies can be tricky, because everyone might see them differently. By giving both sides of the story, this analysis wants to help people think carefully about claims that say Trump is connected to the Antichrist, so discussions about religion and politics can be more careful and informed. Even though people are often not sure about what Donald Trump really believes in when it comes to religion, there are times when he has said out loud that he follows Jesus Christ. This part wants to look into those moments, pointing out specific times when Trump has openly talked about his Christian beliefs. These can be in speeches, interviews, or public statements where he made it clear that he agrees with the teachings and ideas of Christianity. When Trump openly talks about believing in Jesus, it's pretty important, especially when people are saying he might be the Antichrist. This part will go into how Trump saying he believes in Jesus goes against the idea that he could be the Antichrist, a figure that's usually thought of as against Christian values. We'll see how Trump talking about his faith might change what people think about him. We'll also look into whether Trump keeps saying the same things about his faith over time, and if his actions and the things he does as president match with what he says about being a Christian. By doing this, we want to give a careful view of how Trump talking about his faith in public connects with people wondering about his religion, and if it has anything to do with what the Bible says about the Antichrist. In looking at what makes up Trump's religious identity, our investigation finds a detailed picture, made up of bits of faith, uncertainty, and guesswork. From Trump saying out loud that he believes in Jesus Christ to people talking about him possibly being the Antichrist. The journey through Trump's spirituality is a mix of contradictions. As we finish this exploration, it's clear that the connection between faith and politics is like a complicated dance. What leaders say in public might not match up with what people keep suspecting. In the end, this analysis makes us think about how a leader's beliefs that they talk about and the mystery around Donald Trump all come together, making us wonder about the mix of power, faith, and what people think in today's politics.